Hey, moneymakers, I'm Kalila Reynolds, and welcome back to another edition of Taking Stock Live. We're bringing you all the latest business news and telling you how it will affect you and your money. So, edutech company One-on-One is reporting some pretty impressive numbers. We're going to get a chance to talk all about it tonight with their CEO, Ricardo Allen. But first, I have something that you need to do. Beg you, please do hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're over 70,000 strong now. Share with a friend and let them know that Taking Stock is live and we are discussing all the things that you need to know for you and your money. And also subscribe to the newsletter at getmoneynews.com and let us know in the chat what part of Jamaica or what part of the world you are watching this show from right now. I love to see our viewers all over the world tuning in every single week. Now, come on. Let's get this money. On this episode of Taking Stock, online learning company One-on-One is starting the year off strong with an almost 70% increase in revenues. So, what's the secret? And how do they plan to keep it going? CEO Ricardo Allen joins us. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. Trinidad's Forex crisis is causing massive problems for PriceSmart. And Donald Trump is back in the White House. How will his policies affect your portfolio? We'll discuss.
But first, here's What's Hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Grace Kennedy CEO Don Webby is set to officially retire in February. According to GK, Webby will leave office on February 14. He will also step down from the board of directors on the same date. CEO of Grace Kennedy's domestic foods division, Frank James, has been tapped to take his role. The move comes after Webby temporarily stepped back from day-to-day operations in October 2024 to focus on his health. GK's share price fell following the announcement before recovering slightly to close the week at $74.67. Meanwhile, Derrimon Trading has also named a new CEO. Ian Kelly took over the position from founder Derek Cottrell on January 1. Cottrell led the company for 26 years before stepping down as CEO, but he will remain as executive chairman. According to the company, the leadership change was a strategic decision to separate the chairman and CEO roles. The Ministry of Health and Wellness said it's looking to fill some 600 jobs. The ministry is hosting an employment fair to fill vacant positions across the health sector. They said there are vacancies in all categories in the ministry, including records and research officers, doctors, nurses, and program directors. The job fair is being hosted at the University of the West Indies Mona campus on Wednesday and Thursday. The Guyanese government is encouraging population growth by offering a one-off payment of 100,000 Guyanese dollars for every newborn baby. That's about $480. Officials said the grant is available for every newborn baby born in Guyana to a Guyanese mother. The announcement follows news that the country's oil sector continues to be a massive driver of economic growth. The country's GDP grew 44% in 2024, up from the 33% expansion in 2023. The oil and gas industry was up 58% in 2024. The country produced some 225 million barrels of oil. The non-oil economy also grew 13%. The government said development in the non-oil economy was mostly driven by increases in rice and bauxite production. Activity in mining, quarrying, and construction also led to an economic boost. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed a series of executive orders on his first day in office. These include withdrawing the U.S. from the World Health Organization and the Paris Climate Accords, a move that Trump says will save the country trillions. He also ordered the restart of licensing for liquefied natural gas terminals, as well as the end of birthright citizenship and a 75-day reprieve on TikTok's ban. He said the measures would lead to the complete restoration of America. Trump was officially sworn in as the 47th President of the United States on Monday. Among a slew of promises, he's doubled down on his plans to overhaul the U.S. trade system, including an external revenue service to collect tariffs, duties, and revenues. During his campaign, Trump vowed to impose 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports and an additional 10% on Chinese goods.
What's Hot was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
New year, new money! If you're finally ready to start investing but still dragging your feet because you don't know how, it's time to make a change for 2025. It's my New Year, New Money $99 sale. Get investing for beginners for $99 all through January. Learn how to analyze and choose stocks, how to spot good investment opportunities, create your personal investment profile, and start investing in Caribbean and U.S. stocks. Go to investingforbeginnersja.com and enter the code NEWMONEY at checkout. Let's get this money. Welcome back. So let me see who we have joining us this week. Let's see where our viewers are from. Let me shout y'all out. Supervillain is in Culloden, Westmoreland. What's it like over there, Supervillain? Raquel saying good night here in Kingston. We got Dwight joining us from Spanish Town as usual. Garfield is over in Portmore. We have G Nord G3 in Bull Bay. Shavane here early from Portmore. We have Colette saying, no, that's Shavane saying, let's get this money. Colette saying, like up the thing. Kingston checking in. Ashley S is here. David Gray is locked in from St. James. We got Mount Felix in Mandeville. Nice and cool Mandeville. I'm back in Kingston this week and why is it so hot in January? See, I'm kind of getting used to Mandeville temperatures now because Mandeville is pretty cool these past couple of weeks, but Kingston, I don't know what's going on. Humble Boss is checking in from Negril. David says blessings. We got Robert checking in from New Jersey. Orlando is in Grange Hill. And Philip Dea from TCI. Do we have any Trini viewers in the house? I recently checked my YouTube stats and I said that we have a substantial number of Trini viewers. Like that never used to be the case. So we're getting through to our peeps in Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to Taking Stock wherever you are in the world and wherever you are in Jamaica. My pleasure having you. So we haven't spoken about one-on-one in a while, probably not since they did their IPO in 2022. So it's time for an update because we recently saw this company posting some pretty sweet revenues. So I want to know what they have been up to. And of course, later on, we're going to talk about Trump and everything going on there because a lot is happening. But right now, our focus is on one-on-one. Let's welcome back CEO of the EduTech company, Ricardo Allen. Welcome back to Taking Stock, Ricardo.
Thanks for having me, Kalila. Very happy to be here. Happy New Year to you and your
Happy New Year.
And I'm sure you're all the best for 2025.
You too, and I'm sure you're extra happy because you're here with good news.
Well, yes, it's always a good feeling when you deliver on those results, right? Kalila, we put in the work. We've, kind of focused on investing in the company, and we're now seeing the results. I mean, the team has been fantastic as well, and we have a great team, we have a great mission, and we have a lot of problems to solve in education globally. So I'm quite excited.
So give us some idea of what you've been up to in the past 2 years since we've spoken.
Kalila, so IPO, by the way, my name is Ricardo Allen. I'm the founder and CEO of One-on-One for your viewers. We did an IPO, a public offering back in 2022. It was August of that year. We listed in September of that year. And, we raised $358 million. So, Kalila, what have we done with the money? At the time, we said we would have invested in our content development capacity, meaning that we wanted to be able to kind of create content more rapidly and cheaper for a global audience. Number two, we wanted to invest in artificial intelligence. That was a big thing for us. I'll go more into that later. Number three, we wanted to put some money in working capital. And number four, we wanted to pay down some debts. On the first 2 points, the investment in content. Kalila, I'm happy to share with you that we spent close to $150 million building a state-of-the-art content studio right here in Kingston, Jamaica. And we've managed to serve close to 100 schools where we're streaming content from that studio in Kingston, streaming and beaming teachers into classrooms daily. We plan to expand that to the Caribbean, but that's something that we've done. So we've started to see the return.
I remember that's something we spoke about even before your IPO. That was around the time that I was looking to do a content studio.
Yeah,
I was looking for space. I remember having that discussion with you.
And I actually saw your studio, and I'm like, boy, you know, Khalila, why she didn't call me, man? I'd get some more money. Anyway, I love your studio. I think it's great. But yeah, so we've kind of invested in that. We've kind of, you know, spent a lot of money there, and we're now getting some returns there, Khalila. Number two, the artificial intelligence. You know, the last time we spoke, I believe I would have updated my shareholders to say, look, it's going to take a lot of capital to achieve our mission in AI to personalized learning. And last year alone, we spent $100 million in investing in our capabilities in AI and personalization of UNA, right? So we've been doing a lot of R&D work in that, and you know, we have not started to earn from that yet, but that is something that we're doing. And of course, you know, we have our education management information system where we digitalize education system. We currently work with a few countries now where their entire education system have been digitalized, meaning the Minister of Education can sit in her office and she press the button and she gets all her reports, you know, how many kids are at school, what they're doing, that sort of thing. So it is intelligence, it is data, it is personalization, and that's one-on-one. That's what we've been doing.
That's really cool. I remember when you guys did IPO, Una was live answering questions about the IPO, and we tested it here on the show, which was pretty cool. So talk
that
to
was
us
before
now.
That was before ChatGPT 2, right? So
yeah, it was.
ChatGPT was November 2022. We listed September. So you know, Khalila, look back at a business plan 10 years ago, back in 2013, and I look at the vision of one-on-one at the time. It was to use artificial intelligence to personalize learning. That was 10 years ago, right? And so we're quite happy that, you know, we kind of started. At the time, we didn't understand what this was. Our idea of AI was to use statistics to determine what happens next, meaning to predict the future. But certainly what has happened in the last 2 years has propelled us, because those bigger guys are spending the money, investing in the models. And what we're doing is taking on those models and fine tuning it to what we need to do. So it's really good for us.
But you're not making money from that revenue line yet. So how does one-on-one make money now?
So how we make money now is, again, content, right? We have a content division where we, you know, we stream content to schools. We also work with corporates to develop content for corporates. So that's one way we make money. Secondly, our primary revenue drivers now is through our learning platform, right? So this is an AI-powered learning platform where we have a subscription as a service. That revenue has grown. We've gotten a number of additional subscribers to our platform, so they pay a monthly fee or an annual fee, and they get access to use our platform. So it's called software as a service. So that's how we kind of earn most of our money now. And thirdly, which is the big one, we governments pay us to digitalize their education system, and for every child in that education system, we get paid some money. I won't tell you how much, but we get paid to provide our platform where students can go home, do homework, do assignments and everything, all on our platform, that platform that we built here in Jamaica about 10 years ago.
I noticed you said governments with an S, plural. So which countries are you in now?
All right, so we have two of the major governments in the Caribbean. We have Jamaica and we do have the Bahamas. We do have some work that we're doing in Guyana as well. And, you know, we have a new country that is coming on board. You will see an announcement in about 2 weeks. You know, I give you an hint. It's the fourth largest English-speaking Caribbean, so we're quite excited about that.
So tell us, you also have the One Academy. What's it called? One Academy Initiative. So how does that one work? And is that are you making revenue from that now?
Yes. So Kalina, the business is twofold, right? So you've got the business division that focuses on providing services to companies, right? And then you got the One Academy division that is more targeted to students, teachers, and the education system, right? So think of it as one providing training and the next providing education. One Academy provides education to students, teachers use it to teach their students, and governments uses that platform to actually personalize some of the things that they're doing. On the business side, we have the one-on-one LMS where companies use it to train their employees. So that's the two side of the business. On the one-on-one side, that's making one academy side, that's making most of our revenues now. I would say that accounts for probably about 70% of our revenue, and on the business side, it's about 30%. That's our corporate customers. So government, students, teachers, 70%, business and corporate, 30%.
So that lets you stream classes to students if the teacher is absent, for example. That's how that works?
Well, in one academy, we benefit from the LMS, meaning students, teachers, governments use the LMS as the software that they place all their learning material on, and the students engages with it, and they can track just about everything the children are doing and to see exactly where their skills are and where their gaps are. Teachers use it to generate lesson plans, for example, using AI. So that's kind of how both students and teachers use it. But on top of that, our content division stream content from our content studio to those students, and the teachers kind of become a facilitator in the classroom. So can you imagine you're at high school and a teacher somewhere else is teaching, but the teacher in the classroom is now moving around, assisting the students with their doubts and their weak areas, while the class is being kind of run from a remote location. Now, this is powerful, Khalila, because a school, for example, at like Westwood, that is very far away, rural, that school can now benefit from this stream. If they don't have a law teacher, for example, who is willing to travel all that far, they can get that lesson from us. So we're streaming subjects, and the schools are coming on and pulling down the subjects. Not only in the case where a teacher is absent, but also in the case where we're delivering a lesson and adding VR and all of those things to the lesson to enhance the learning outcomes kind of thing. And that's kind of how the content comes on top of the LMS. So it's two-sided, it's the LMS and then there's the content.
Now, I remember during COVID, everybody was all up on e-learning, right? All these edutech platforms. You guys got a boost. Edufocal got a boost because, of what was happening with COVID and schools at the time. And now things have kind of simmered down and students are back in the classroom. Is there still the same level of buzz? Have you been affected by, how things have changed?
Yes, so Khalila, one of the good things we did at one-on-one, and I must commend my board and my team, is that we looked at our strategy and we acknowledged that COVID was a once in a lifetime event, right? And so coming out of COVID, what we kind of aimed to do was to move away from a consumer-driven market where we're focusing on students at home learning, and we focus on our enterprise business. What I mean by that is governments, large organizations paying us to use our technology to power their kind of effort, right? So the countries that we play now, we lease them the software and they use it, right? We have no more role to play than to develop and keep the software going. And so it's a very good business for us. So we have become a technology business. We're effectively the technological backbone of education, we see ourselves as. And we are the infrastructure that supports technology as opposed to the front facing, doing all the run up and down kind of thing. We're more in the background, powering the technology that these clients are using to power their own operations. So you can look at it that way. So a school uses our platform, we train them, we onboard them, Khalila, they run with it, right? They love it. They come back for more features. That's our kind of company right now. And obviously that can scale anywhere in the world.
Remind me when your financial year starts. When is your Q1?
So my Q1 runs from September to November each year. And my year end is August of each year. So I'm in Q2 now, and my Q2 ends February.
So you're in line with the school year, basically.
You got it. You're smart.
All right. No, I'm only asking about that because I'm looking at these numbers, right? And I see Q1 of 2023, you had a net loss of 21 million. And now Q1 of 2024, you have revenues of 92 million. How much was it on loss? A profit? I'm sure it was a profit.
Profit of 11.8 million.
And profit of 11.8 million. So what happened in 2023 why you had that big of a loss? And how did you turn it around to 2024 to have 11 million in profit?
So Khalila, the reality is that we spend a lot of money on investment, right? Like we invest a lot in our technology. And last year, we were just beginning to roll out the streaming of classes to schools. And we had a lot of logistics issues, a lot of engineering issues. that we really had to fix. I mean, it's not easy to stream simultaneous classes across 100 schools at the same time, put it that way, right? And so we had to, we had to write down a lot of the monies we spent in R&D as expense, and so we kind of front loaded a lot of the expenses. And so now what you're seeing is us reaping the benefits from that investment that we would have put in place then. So you also saw at that time a dip in revenue as well, right? Because the company was just so focused on the future. At the time, I got a lot of flack from persons asking me to focus on the now. Khalil, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Our focus is always on the future while maintaining the now, right? But we have to look at
But
it
you
more
need
from a
cash flow. But you need cash flow. You have to pay
I tell you,
people.
absolutely. So how we do that, as you see in the last quarter, we generated $41 million in cash. The point I'm making, Kalila, is that you invest capital today, you manage your cash so that tomorrow you can reap the rewards from that, and that's what we're seeing. So yes, at that time we needed cash, but now we're turning 40 million in cash per quarter from operations. You look at our Q1, that's what we're seeing in our cash flow. So the point is that it's a business. You invest money up front, but what we can't do, Kalila, is to focus on short-term objectives, and that takes away from the long-term. So it's a balance that you have to strike. We don't want to give up too much in the short term, but certainly the long term is what excites us at one-on-one, the medium to long term.
Fair enough. All right, we have a question here from Roswell Online. Roswell says, okay, we already spoke about the profit. Interesting development going on at one-on-one. However, what's the profit looking like now? We just said 11.4 million Q1. And Roswell also says, all right, here she is. One-on-one needs other business lines as competition can stifle your cash flow. And in the case of such as in the case of iCreate and Edufocal, Labs also does some content as part of their business. Look at me translating. Roswell, try read over your work now.
This is a fair comment. What I would say, Kalila, is that content is not the biggest part of our business, or the biggest part of our business is our software. And where we are now, we're trying to get as many persons to license that software as possible, right? We like where we are now, and we continue to grow our subscribers, and we continue to add new clients as the months go by, right? So that's our aggressive kind of push. With things like Gen AI and so on, we continue to develop content at a lower cost, but certainly our software is our focus and in AI. So our future is in AI, and I just want to remind that viewer of that. So yeah, I mean, I understand exactly what they're saying. We have experienced it, but certainly we think we have a good strategy going forward, as you can see the results.
So the AI would be a subscription base?
Yes, so our model will be essentially to have a subscription base. But Kalila, you have to understand, we have over 100,000 students under our kind of customer base now, right? So what we plan to do is to leverage that student base and that user base to bring on these additional revenue stream, so that we can earn an additional dollar from each user. And that's how we plan to grow the business. So I know persons are saying new revenue line. That's confusion. That's confusing, right? And it takes your focus away. Our focus is on our core business, our core software, and we want to add features to that and continue to monetize that software. That's been our formula, and that's what we're sticking to.
Iron Lady wants to know if you're cash flow positive.
Absolutely. 14.1 million in cash flows in the last 3 months we generated from operations. We continue to invest in the business, Kalila, spending about 20 million in investment over the last quarter. And from financing activities, we continue to manage our loans and so on to ensure that we remain strong in terms of our balance sheet and cash flow perspective.
Last question I'm going to take is from King Cheville. Does one-on-one use interactive AI to offer a specialized learning approach to individuals with disabilities, or is it something the company would consider?
Yeah, I mean, what we offer is that Una, and you will see, we'll have a launch of this very soon. We're very proud of the work we've done. We believe that we've solved personalized learning at scale, Kalila. And so our focus now is to find out what gaps in knowledge a student is having, and to use the AI to give them personal tutoring based on those gaps in knowledge. And we believe that can scale. Now, in terms of a disabled person, we'll have to kind of take into consideration other factors. Are you disabled? Are you visually impaired? That sort of thing. So these are other things that we need to do. But whatever we need to kind of do, it all goes back to that model that we've built, because it needs to interact with that model. So if you're disabled, let's say visually, we can kind of integrate with that core backend to kind of get the inference that comes back to that person so that they can understand exactly what's being taught and so on. So these are things we can look at. Not our focus now, Kalila. Our core focus is our core business and getting Una to be launched. And that's where we think we will see massive growth in revenues for the business and continue to save money as well.
Do you have a target rollout date for Una?
Yes, so we believe in Q3 of this year, we'll be kind of showing the first version of Una. We're very excited about this, Kalila. I've been working on this for 10 years with the team. Dr. Ricardo Allen, who's an assistant professor at the University of the West Indies, he's also helping us. And yeah, we are very proud of the work. We have a team of about 20 engineers working on it, and we think it's going to be big. We think it will have a global impact, Kalila. I really do. And I really think it will help so many kids who need a personal tutor. That was our goal when we started One-on-One. That's why we named the company One-on-One, and we believe we're this close to giving every child a personal tutor at scale.
Wonderful. Looking forward to it. Q3 2023. I want to be there, Ricardo.
2025. We'll invite you to the launch.
2025. Sorry. Gosh. Yeah. I'm
right.
living in the past. 2025. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and all the best with One-on-One and your Una rollout. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Kalila. Thanks to your viewers. Bye-bye.
So it is time for our poll question of the week. It was a lot of drama over the weekend with TikTok going out for US users and then coming back. I don't know how many of you on here are in the US and active users of TikTok. I use TikTok pretty much every day. It's basically my favorite platform to use now because it's just so, the algorithm, it just knows what I like. And so I'm a very active user of TikTok. So here's your poll question. Did you expect that TikTok would remain active in the US? Here are your options. A, I knew the USA would change their mind. B, I thought TikTok would sell. C, I expected it to be banned. D, other. Leave a comment. So did you expect that TikTok would remain active in the US? A, I knew the USA would change their mind. B, I thought TikTok would sell. C, I expected it to be banned. D, other. Leave a comment. You can take that poll over on the community tab of our YouTube channel, over on X. Tomorrow you'll get an email with it as well. Did you expect that TikTok would remain active in the US? Now, before we go to the market recap, we have another interview for you. Surprise! And leave your answers in the chat. We have another interview for you. The Bureau of Standards Jamaica has the National Quality Awards coming up at the end of this month. It's going to be on January 30. And we want to hear more about it. We have Director at the Standards Division at the BSJ, Tafara Smith. Welcome, Tafara.
Hello, Kalila. Good night, and good night to your viewers.
Right. So this is an exciting event coming up next week. Tell us about the National Quality Awards. Well, what does that even mean?
So the National Quality Awards, and let me first say, the Bureau of Standards Jamaica is an agency under the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. And we are what we call a premier standards-driven organization whose main focus is to facilitate the international competitiveness of local businesses while safeguarding consumer health and safety. Now, how we do this is through our services, which include standard development, our metrology services, certification services, testing services, as well as ensuring to support capacity building by providing training to the industry. So you asked about the National Quality Awards Program. So the National Quality Awards Program is Jamaica's first quality system-based awards program, which recognizes local companies that demonstrate the application of standards and implementation of quality systems in both the production of goods and the delivery of services.
Okay, so let's talk more about the actual awards coming up next month, because you started requesting submissions from last year. What's happening, not next month, next week? What's happening next week at the awards?
So next week is when we will announce those winners. So it's the big bang to all the work that went into last year into well, it's actually the work actually starts from 2023 and it builds up into 2024. And now next week is when we will execute that final ceremony where we have all our players in the room, where we will now announce after that tedious application process, the assessing the companies, doing site visits to make sure that what they say that they do on paper is what they're actually doing in factory. And so next, after doing that evaluation and scoring, then we would have done our final selection. And next week now is that big announcement when we will know who are the companies that are operating at that premier level of implementing standards and within their organization.
Oh, wow. So a lot goes into selecting the winners, site visits and all of that. Ooh, long application process. So what are the categories? Like, what will you be awarding for?
Well, so the National Quality Awards, we have three main sections. So we have manufacturing, we also have agriculture, we have a special award for the MSME section, sector and the services sector, right? So we'll have different awards and different sub awards that will be presenting to the persons that apply to be a part of this program. Certain key criteria that we will be focusing on, or what we look for, is organization focus, human resource focus, process management, and customer focus within the implementation when we were assessing the implementation of their quality management system.
So I think that this is a great event.
And did I mention agriculture? Sorry.
Yes,
it's important
you did.
that I mention that there's an award for a sectional award for agriculture, right?
Right. So this is going to be next week, Thursday, January 30 at the Pegasus, right?
Right, the Jamaica Pegasus.
And here's the thing, viewers, this is a great event for you to attend if you're in any of these industries. Even if your company is not nominated, you want to see who are the top in Jamaica right now. If you're in this industry, you want to see who they are, what they're doing, why they won. You want to see the faces who are behind the success. You want to be able to network with these people, have your little chit chats, on the sidelines of the event. So even if you're not nominated right now, or even if you didn't even know about the awards in order to nominate yourself, this is an award show that you definitely want to attend next week if you're in any of these industries. So small business, that's a very broad category. Agriculture, manufacturing, and what was the last one? There were four. Services. So lots of categories to choose from. How can people attend?
Well, so the tickets, they are required to contact the Bureau of Standards. So you can call us. Our numbers are 876-632-4275, or you can also contact us at 876-618-1534. You can also send us an email at nqa@bsj.org.jm, and we will respond to you. Or you could just visit the Bureau Standard at 6 Winchester Road, Kingston 10, and to let us know that you are interested and request your tickets. Tickets prices this year is $25,000. But of course, Kalila, and as you're aware, persons that get this information from your platform will be allowed a special discount.
Yes, so tell them, when you call, tell them Kalila Senyo, and you get a discount, right? Don't forget to mention it. Tell them you saw it on Taking Stock, Kalila Senyo, you want a special discount. So give them a call. We're going to put up the contact information shortly as well. And it is a black tie event, so you get to dress up.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, indeed, Kalila. Black tie, definitely.
So bring out your Sunday best and attend the Bureau of Standards Jamaica National Quality Awards next week. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you at the awards.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and good night again to your platform members.
To our viewers, yes. So we're going to head now to our market recap. And after that, we've got the analysts standing by. Time now for your market recap. The JSE Combined Index was mostly flat last week. 127 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the week ending Friday, January 17, 2025. 47 made gains, 66 lost value, and 14 stayed the same. 126 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $629 million. Trans-Jamaican Highway was the week's most traded stock, with 28 million shares changing hands. It started the week at $4.21, down 4%. Lasco Financial had the second highest volume. The stock was up 5.5% to open Monday at $1.53. And Carreras rounded out last week's most traded. The stock dipped 3% to start the week at $13.77. Now let's see who had the biggest gains of the week. CAC 2000 was the top gainer, up 17%. Epley 7.57% preference shares had the second biggest gain, up almost 16%, and MPC Caribbean Clean Energy USD rounded out the top stocks, up 15%. On the losing side now, Knutsford Express was last week's biggest loser. It fell 40% to open Monday at $10.82, while JetCon lost 13% and Kingston Wharves lost 12%. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index was flat last week. Massey was the TTSE's most traded stock. The price was unchanged to open Monday at $3.89 TT. LG Williams B shares was Trinidad's top gainer, up 13% to start the week at 79 cents TT. And on the losing side, Cinema One shares fell 7% to open Monday at $5.50 TT. Over in the U.S., the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ were all up about 4% last week. At the pumps, the price of 87 gas was up $1.16 last week, while 90 rose by 70 cents. Meanwhile, diesel prices rose $3.06. In foreign exchange, it took an average $157.49 Jamaican to purchase $1 US last Friday. That's 27 cents more than the week before. $1 Canadian cost an average $110.23 Jamaican. $1 British pound cost $193.44 Jamaican. And you could buy €1 for $162.97 Jamaican on average. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin rose 7% over the past 5 days, trading at $107,812 on Monday. Ethereum, on the other hand, fell 3%, trading at $3,349 on Monday. Like this show? No, I mean, do you really like this show? Well, support us by making a donation on Patreon. Your support will go a long way in allowing us to continue creating content like this and keep taking stock free for everyone. Go to patreon.com/Kalila Ray to sign up. The link is in the description. This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, is brought to you by Barita Investments.
Disclaimer. This is not intended as financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.
Welcome back. Let me see what our viewers are saying. Javiv says, I feel better about my investment in one-on-one. I'm glad you feel that way, Javiv. Jardine says, sounds exciting. Iron Lady says, awesome business. Javiv again says, I would love for you to do a program on investing in overseas stocks from Jamaica. I have a video on that already, Javiv. So if you go to moneymediaja.com, use the search feature, and I think it's called Investing in US Stocks or something like that. Just use the search feature, you will find it. It's here on YouTube as well, but it's easier to find on the website because you also get the transcript. And that's also discussed in Investing for Beginners, which you can get at moneymissionja.com. Iron Lady says, I don't use TikTok. All right, Iron Lady. Javiv also says the same thing. Don't use TikTok. DSQ says, boom, good looks. Dana says, what were the options again? So question was, did you expect that TikTok would remain active in the USA? Option A was, I knew the USA would change their mind. So Trump has given them an additional 75 days. So they haven't quite changed their mind. They just have an extension. Lanesra says TikTok was just bluffing. You know, obviously, they're playing politics with the whole situation because TikTok did not have to go dark on Sunday. The issue was that the servers wouldn't be allowed to host the information and you wouldn't be able to download the app from the App Store. So over time, the information would have, because they're not allowed to update it, it would have taken a few weeks, maybe a few months before everything becomes outdated and US users, the app would become useless in the United States. And then they made a point of saying a few hours later, basically that Trump saved the app. So they are absolutely playing politics with this situation. G Nor G says, was to be banned, but due to a great amount of persons that use it for their source of income, they had to bring it back, in my opinion. That's true. So there was mass lobbying for TikTok to stay because a lot of US businesses use it to generate business for their companies. A lot of US businesses, when you think about the impact of a Keith Lee, for example, that has rescued so many restaurants through the impact of TikTok, like how can you just allow it to just go, right? So, and then I also saw this thing where many of the politicians who voted for the ban own stock in Meta. And so, conflict of interest much? Oren says, good night, Cal. Good night to TJH Army, closed at 4:31 today, holding until $10. Blessings. All right, so we have some more comments, but I'll leave those for later during the recap because I need to bring on our analysts for this evening. Let me introduce our panel. We are joined this evening by Taking Stock analyst David Rose, as well as, who's our next guest? Senior research analyst at Barita Investments, Shane Bennett. Welcome back, guys. Great to have you.
Night, Kalila.
Good night, Kalila. Thanks for having me. But it's actually my first time on here.
Yes, welcome for the first time, Shane. And welcome back, David, is what I meant to say. But Shane, you have the hot topic tonight because we're talking about President Trump. Yesterday was day one, inauguration day, and he signed, I think I said about 100 executive orders. So we want to know, what is the potential impact of this Trump presidency on our investments?
All right, then. Thank you for having me, Kalila. And good night to everyone. So I'm sure everyone has been watching the news, seeing a slew of executive orders by Trump geared towards making America great again. But what I believe is even more important is the president's intentions and actions for driving economic growth through policy changes, some of which are market-friendly and will undoubtedly boost corporate earnings, while others not so much. Now, let's consider those that will benefit corporates and ultimately investors, right? And the first key area of focus is fiscal policy and Trump's intention to lower corporate taxes, along with an extension of the 2017 tax cuts. Now, if Trump were to receive support from Congress on these issues, it would undoubtedly boost earnings, particularly for US-focused companies that are less reliant on imported intermediate goods for production, right? And this may just be to the extent that we could see strong price appreciation for stocks in sectors such as tech and energy, especially given Trump's stance on deregulation, right? With the broader S&P possibly trading at even higher multiples. Now, I want to bring your attention to the latest World Economic Outlook and projections for the US relative to the rest of the world, and the US is actually expected to outperform other developed countries with economic growth for 2025 somewhere around 2.7%. At the same time, we know that the US labor market remains relatively tight, with unemployment just above 4% as at the end of 2024, and while inflation remains above the Fed's target 2% range, it has fallen considerably from 2022 highs, right? So with this in mind, some could say that the US Federal Reserve has actually achieved the fabled economic soft landing, which it has done only once previously, or at the very least is at the cusp of doing so. But with inflation still running above the Fed's target 2% rate, the pace of rate cuts, for the most part, are now expected to be much slower than previously anticipated, right? Especially as we consider the impacts of proposed changes to trade policy and the possible reignition of inflationary pressures that might ensue. Now, given the inverse relationship between interest rates and bond prices, right? Capital gains for bonds could be much more subdued than previously expected, right? But for US equities, for me personally, it seems like it's almost the opposite. Because in my opinion, deregulation and lower corporate taxes could give the US equities fresh legs, despite the S&P already trading at multiples above its historical average.
So stocks are back. I noticed you said energy. I can't remember what the other one was. You said energy and tech. Yes. I think energy. You heard Trump say yesterday, drill, baby, drill.
Yes.
So what are the implications there?
Okay, then. So when I'm thinking about energy, I'm thinking more of a tactical, like a short-term thing. Because, all right, then, if anything else, over the last couple of days, I think we get to see how fickle U.S. policy is. With, yesterday, Trump completing a bunch of executive orders that would have actually reversed some Biden-era politics, right? Most important of which would be his stance on energy. Now, considering that this is Trump's second term in office, we know that there is a deadline, and we know that effectively he really and truly only has 18 months in power, considering midterms and the fact that he won the House by a slim majority. So I'm thinking more of a tactical play that, okay, then over the medium term, we could see some hype around energy stocks. But my outlook on energy over the longer term is somewhat more reserved, given that we could see a reversal in policy following Trump's exit of office.
So what are some of the energy stocks that you might want to have your eye on for the next 18 months that you mentioned?
Currently, I'm thinking about like ExxonMobil, to say the least, and Shell. Of course, another energy stock that I'm also looking at would probably be New Fortress. They also have set up operations here in Jamaica. So that's another one that I'm also considering, right? Well, more so from the fixed income side, that is. Yeah.
Jessica says, awesome analysis, Mr. Bennett. Let me bring David in here. David, I'm sure you've been following the developments. I also want to talk about foreign exchange and the impact of the US dollar, Shane. So I'm going to come back to you. But as you mentioned, foreign exchange situation, the US dollar. David, you've been tracking PriceSmart, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, and you have some updates for us there.
So PriceSmart, operates multiple clubs across the Caribbean. 4 out of their 14 Caribbean clubs are based in Trinidad and Tobago. So that's their largest relative market. I don't have the specific numbers for their country by country stats, but Trinidad is likely the largest market, right? They have seen an increase from about US $18 million in August 2023 of what you'd call TTD that they cannot convert to USD to about 70.1 million USD as at the end of November 2024. Now, it ended, I believe it ended around $60 million US around August 2024. So you're talking about an extra $10 million US worth of TT that could be converted into US dollars during the quarter. And why is this a problem? So I remember seeing a story today on CNC3T where they were talking about a business in Trinidad closing 2 locations because they just can't get an FX to import their goods. and you can't tell the suppliers, I'll pay you when I get the US dollars. You can't do that. So why is this a problem? PriceSmart mentioned that because of this FX crunch, they incurred an extra $3.4 million US worth of additional transaction costs just to convert that TCD into other tradable currencies before reaching the USD. And PriceSmart is also facing a similar issue in Honduras, where their central bank has all started to restrict US dollar conversions as well. So PriceSmart is about $10.1 million US worth of the Honduran lempira that they cannot convert either. And the FX issue is a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing for businesses that are able to actually buy into Trinidad businesses that export products that bring in significant amounts of FX. But on the flip side, it can also be a risk for Jamaican businesses that supply Trinidadian companies. Why? You can sell a product to a Trinidadian company on credit in January, and you might get paid your bill, but this argument is by July. That's 6 months of you not having that cash to put back into your business for your ongoing needs. And that's a very big problem. So, this is an issue that's been highlighted by PriceSmart in particular. They're one of the country's largest users of foreign exchange. Massey Holdings, would have mentioned that they've been having some impact on their motors and machine segment because of the FX issues. And even AS Bradley and Sons and Holdings Limited, they mentioned that they've had to incur additional finance charges just to get USD to carry their activities.
So they're still not able to get money out?
In effect, yeah, because when you go to the bank will say, hey, this is how much we're allocating for US dollar availability, and you just have to wait in a line, in a sense, not a physical line, but just a line or a list until they reach you. So,
and what are they doing about the situation though? Like, do they have any way to resolve it? Have they said what they plan to do?
Kalila, it's an election year like Jamaica and Trinidad right now. It's political suicide for anybody to touch that situation, even amidst the growing, what I'd call, uncertainty and pressure from this FX issue right now. So, Marla Dukaran, was on your program a couple weeks or months ago saying that, they need to reintroduce the FX allocation system or FX bid system back into the market, and they need to make some hard decisions because the truth of the matter is Trinidad, is pulling heavily down on their heritage and stabilization fund just to help them pay the bills. But the reality is this FX situation is reaching a breaking point because even last week, I believe it was CIBC Trinidad, they said that they're cutting their FX limits on their either debit or credit cards from $1,000 US a month to $500 US a month. Now, for some Jamaicans here, $500 US is a lot of money, and for other persons, they're like, "You're telling me that the bank is going to say I can only spend $500 US on my debit or credit card for the month?" And other Trinidadian banks like Scotiabank Trinidad, RBC, Republic Bank have all cut their FX limits over the last 2 years. So it's an interesting dilemma because you have companies like, General Accident that went into Trinidad back in 2019 to buy Motor One. We saw Separate by AS Braden. We saw PBS buying a stake in Trinidad Systems Limited. So it creates this little, what I call, imbalance, whereby if you are a business or a person with a lot of FX availability, you can buy assets a lot cheaper than you normally could in Trinidad. And if you get the businesses that are able to supply a decent level of USD in a sense or capital goods that are needed in the Caribbean, you've got a great opportunity to capture some deals.
Interesting. So I see a comment here. Who is it? Tavares. Tavares says ASBH is solving their USD crisis with the acquisition of CPJ. So AS Bryden has found a way around it, found a workaround.
It's not a full workaround to that extent, but I'm likely expecting that there are going to be some management fees or other arrangements between the parent company AS Brennan and CPJ that allow for CPJ to pay US dollars to AS Bryden, which allow for them to have USD on their company books to deal with their own affairs. But that's a very good point. So companies in Trinidad are looking to buy companies in Jamaica and so on and so forth. So even Agostini is limited. They have a pharmaceutical business in Trinidad and they're quite spread out across the Caribbean. In August 2023, they acquired Health Brands Limited, right? And during that same year, they acquired a business called Carla Laboratories Limited. That's a business based in Barbados, manufacturing business. Most people don't know what this business does, but if you think of DPH, Histol, those nice, good little brands in this supermarket, in the pharmacies, I should say, they are the ones who manufacture it. According to Augustine's annual report, when they acquired Health Brands, they Carla Laboratories portfolio from massive distribution in Jamaica and put it onto Health Brands. And Health Brands' revenue went up 20% year over year just from moving that portfolio to their distribution business in Jamaica. So think about that. You acquire the manufacturer, and that manufacturer now supplies a subsidiary in Jamaica, which doesn't have FX restrictions, which can then in turn send money back to Trinidad to support the growth down there, or for them to address their own issues or for their expansion plans. But it's a little interesting dilemma. Some business in Trinidad are looking to acquire outside of Trinidad to get FX. Massey acquired IGL here in Jamaica and Rose IJ supermarkets in Florida. And you have Jamaican businesses and other businesses that are looking to acquire business in Trinidad to take advantage of the situation. So this is one of the beautiful things about a crisis. It forces everybody to look at their hand and say, what do I have to offer at the table? And I'm glad, Shane mentioned the Trump, development right now, because a lot of the executive orders, they are likely to have an impact on us, depending on when we're speaking of a development perspective, depending on how US dollar flows are managed going forward. Because one of the executive orders that Trump signed yesterday was that he's temporarily halting foreign aid for the next 90 days. That's not like it's going to have a massive impact in some Caribbean communities, but that's just one example of a change in the governance of the USA having a potential impact in the Caribbean or other parts of the world, as simple as that.
Yeah, on that note, let me bring Shane back. By the way, Shane, you have a lot of fans tuning in. Tisha's World says Shane, Big Shane, Uncle Shane, One Shane, Mr. Bennett. Big up my bro, great analysis. All your fans are watching Shane. So big things going on. So, all right. Speaking of this whole foreign exchange situation, do you think that Trump's presidency is likely to result in a stronger US dollar, especially given all the things that he's announced re-trade? So he's going to increase tariffs on trade from Canada, Mexico, China. What's going to happen with the dollar when you look in your crystal ball?
All right, then, Gallo. To put in short, yes, I do believe that the US dollar will continue to strengthen against a basket of other currencies. Now, the Trump administration, throughout its campaign, remained very vocal on its views for trade policy, with the re-elected president outlining plans to increase tariffs on imported goods from several key trading partners, such as Canada and Mexico. Now, given the implementation of such measures, we could see an even greater divergence in the performance of the US economy relative to said trading partners. Now, as higher tariffs eventually lower demand for imported products, countries like Canada and Mexico, for which around 75% of their exports go to the US, right? The impact, we can therefore see that the impact on their terms of trade would be significant, to say the least. And we could see some FX movements in anticipation of that. In fact, throughout 2024, we would have actually already observed strong appreciation of the US dollar relative to trading partners such as the US and, well, not the US, but I mean Canada and Mexico. Now, the possibility does exist, however, for retaliatory tariffs and trade wars, which could possibly disrupt trade flows, possibly reigniting inflationary pressures and increasing economic uncertainty and investor risk aversion. And this could possibly result in higher risk premiums that could possibly drive bond prices lower. Now, I do not expect these measures to be indefinite, specifically with the Trump administration possibly using tariffs as a leverage to lead discussions for more favorable trade terms. But I do believe that the impact on the economy will be felt almost immediately through reignited inflation that would accompany the imposition of tariffs on the US's major trading partners. And this could likely lead to the Fed not only slowing the pace of rate cuts, as we've already seen, given the two most recent summary of economic projections published by the Fed, but could even lead to a pause in the rate cutting cycle, and even a rate hike in an extreme case. Now, the possibility of rates remaining higher for longer, high yields on US treasuries and corporates could drive demand for the US dollar higher, resulting in the US dollar appreciating. Right. Yeah.
Okay, wow. So, David, let me bring you back in as well. What's your analysis? What's the play now that we have a Trump president?
Well, Shane kind of highlighted some of the serious, consequences that will come under this, current term. So, right now, I'm just carefully observing the developments because Trump has been in office for a little over a day. And we've seen so many announcements that are quite monumental. So earlier today, we saw the announcement by Oracle, that's the database company Larry Ellison, SoftBank, that's Masayoshi Son, and OpenAI, which is Sam Altman, announced a $500 billion United States dollars partnership, on AI. Now, that's quite a development. I don't know if that's going to be fully accomplished, but that's just a monumental, deal. And, we've seen, the pro-crypto stance. We've seen the push, to be less heavy-handed regulation. So it creates a positive environment for domestic US-based businesses to actually, thrive a little bit more depending on how their business is structured. So Shane mentioned, that there might be some pressure persons buying US dollar assets, based on the developments of the presidency. But it's still early days, and it's right now observation time to understand, where the direction of the Trump presidency is really going to take us, because we are hearing in the election campaign that he's going to slap these tariffs on as he goes into office. And he's in office now, and he says, by February 1, we'll decide if we're going to put 25% on Canada and Mexico. So Trump is a president who's kept his promises, but when his promises are delivered is something to be very observant of. So, where Shane made a relevant point about tech and energy, in a group, some persons were sharing that, like nuclear companies and energy-based companies have seen a massive increase in their stock prices so far in the first 21 days of the new year, especially as, investors are looking to this AI push, which is so heavily demanding of energy. And on top of that, you mentioned earlier, Trump said, drill, drill, drill. And if more oil does come on the market, and let us say the Ukraine-Russia war ends tomorrow, but the sanctions remain for an extended period of time, in terms of the oil price cap, that potentially could lead to low oil prices in the marketplace, which would be good for us. So still early days, and I'm just observing first. It's just a new paradigm. Trump right from Trump 1, and we need to understand, as Shane mentioned, there's a very short window between midterms and now. So we need to understand what's the main focus that's going to come out now in the short period of time to really drive growth to make America great again, as the campaign has pushed so far.
And finally, Shane, are we anticipating any impacts locally here in Jamaica and the Caribbean? For example, I have Rasheen. Rasheen here says, I'm concerned with the effect of Trump presidency on tourism-related stocks. Was planning on investing in a particular company, but now I'm taking a wait-and-see approach.
So before I really dissect the effect of the Trump presidency on the local economy, to more so answer Roshane's question, I feel like what we really and truly should be paying more attention to would be US consumer sentiment, considering that tourism in of itself would be more discretionary spending, right? We can consider it to be luxury. Now, considering that the latest publication of the World Economic Outlook says that the US economy is projected to remain strong, right? With a lot of people generally positive about Trump's re-election and how this could positively impact the economy. We could see a rebound in tourism activity, especially considering the effects of Hurricane Beryl in summer last year, which would have likely dampened tourist arrivals. Now, to go back to my point about more so the monetary side, is if we take a look at the last two summaries of economic projections by the Federal Reserve, it becomes more apparent that the Fed is now considering fewer rate cuts than previously expected, with the Fed now signaling somewhere of around 50 basis points to the end of 2025 versus 1 percentage point for the previous summary of economic projection. Now, I believe that this partially reflects inflation remaining stubborn above the Fed's 2% target, and also the certainty that a Trump re-election poses, right? Now, for the Fed, the Federal Reserve, that is, adopting a more cautious approach given the uncertainty around fiscal policy, markets are now returning to a higher for longer narrative. Now, what does this mean for the local economy? Over the recent rate hike cycle, the BOJ would have begun raising rates in 2021, I think it was around September, anticipating that the Fed would begin raising rates soon after, which they did in the months that followed. And over the rate hiking cycle, and even after the pause, would have actually noted that the BOJ would have maintained a 2 to 3 percentage point spread above the federal funds rate. That's our domestic benchmark policy rate, overnight lending rate, right? And as a small open economy with a trade deficit, right, it's usually the norm that you would maintain an interest rate differential to discourage capital flight, thereby preserving some level of exchange rate stability. Now, given the reversion of monetary policy back to a higher for longer narrative, if the BOJ were to maintain a somewhat similar spread above the federal funds rate, we could see where market rates in the domestic market could fall much more slower than we would have previously expected. Now, with this in mind,
and we want that to fall fast.
Yes. So with this in mind, my attention is immediately drawn towards local financial services companies, as a delay in rate cuts would have a mixed impact on deposit-taking institutions. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I thought that was a question for you. Thank you so much, guys, for your analysis this evening. Always a pleasure having you, and great job for all your fans for your first time. You guys can check out Barita and benefit from Shane's expert knowledge as a research analyst there at Barita Investments. Thanks, David. Thanks, Shane.
Thanks for having me.
We'll take our final break and come back with the recap and your final comments. This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, was brought to you by Barita Investments. If me no rich this year, next year nah pass, come born as a hustler. Is that you? Have you made a New Year's resolution to start investing, but you still haven't started yet? Well, I got you. It's my New Year, New Money $99 sale. Get investing for beginners for $99 all through January. Learn how to analyze and choose stocks, how to spot good investments, create your personal investment profile, and start investing in Caribbean and U.S. stocks. Go to investingforbeginnersja.com and use the code NEWMONEY at checkout. Let's get this money.
Let's get this money.
Welcome back. All right, let's see what our final comments are. Oren says, Kalila, I'm bullish on a few crypto. How do you think crypto will fare now that we have a crypto-friendly president in the White House? Well, we're already seeing the impact of it. Past 100,000. I think in market recap, we said Bitcoin was at 107,000. And we do have, hear me, but we have a president. Donald Trump is president of the United States. But yes, what he does and what the United States does has a huge impact on the entire world, on the global economy, especially since he is coming out of the blocks very aggressively and very pro crypto. And that's why we have seen the markets reacting positively to the Trump presidency. And I think that that is going to continue. I saw somebody else saying, let me find the comment. Roswell says, bubble in crypto, my views. I think that there are some cryptocurrencies that are here to stay, and Bitcoin for sure is one of them. I think Ethereum is another one. That's why we took the decision to start reporting on them in Market Recap here in Taking Stock. However, there are other things, such as Trump just launched his meme coin. People don't even understand what they're investing in, and they jump on any little hype because they hear this, they hear that. Elon Musk has done it with Dogecoin as well, and then the prices just suddenly go up for no reason, and then you see it crash, you see the bubble pop. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of talk and a lot of action surrounding crypto in the next 4 years under this Trump administration. I think a lot of it will be for the good, because we are going to start seeing regulations for cryptocurrency, even though the entire concept of crypto is a deregulated space. I think that now that Trump is taking it more seriously and appointing a crypto czar, we are going to see more financial institutions buying up cryptocurrency, which is likely to drive up the price. We're going to see more countries investing and even doing trade in cryptocurrency, which again is going to start affecting the price. So I think there is a lot to look forward to and a lot to anticipate surrounding cryptocurrency. This is not investment advice. Please consult your licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions. So I say all of that with that standard disclaimer. Motivational Life Changes wants to know, can you buy cryptocurrency in Jamaica? Yes, you can. There are online platforms that allow you to do so. There are some challenges with getting your cash out though. But a lot of people have found like all kinds of workarounds around it, buying with your credit card, cashing out through like Wise and these other various online banks that people have set up. So you might encounter some difficulties cashing out, but yes, you can buy cryptocurrency in Jamaica. Dana says, definitely playing politics. So I think you're referring to the TikTok comment. Everybody right now, US, Jamaica, all over, China, they're all playing politics. Troyan wants to know, what do you all think about the immigration issue regarding mothers who give birth in the USA not being able to register the child as a US citizen? Tough. Yeah, a lot of Caribbean people go to the United States specifically to give birth and have their child become a US citizen by virtue of birth. And it's one of the strongest ways to acquire US citizenship, because if you're born there, nobody can really take that away from you. You are entitled under the United States Constitution to US citizenship. But President Trump is now ending that. And guess what? I think, Americans have all right to do that. They have all right to determine who is entitled to US citizenship. And I think here in Jamaica, it's the same. Think about it. If currently we have the same laws. So once you're born in Jamaica, you automatically become a Jamaican citizen. But imagine if all of a sudden Jamaica had an influx of immigrants from some other country. I don't like to pick on Haiti, but we've had the issue with the Haitian migrants coming. And so I think that's an example that we could use. But imagine if all of a sudden we had a bunch of Haitian people, as in thousands, possibly even hundreds of thousands, coming to Jamaica, having their children, and they're automatically entitled to Jamaican citizenship. How would you feel about that? Or any other country? The US has this issue with Mexicans. Imagine if all of a sudden And I think Mexico is a great example because it's a different culture, different language, different color people. So if all of a sudden a bunch of Mexicans come to Jamaica and they're having children, and these children automatically become Jamaican citizens, and these people have a different culture, different language, wouldn't you feel that your culture is being threatened? And wouldn't you want to do something about that? So there's different perspectives to look at it from. I do think, and I don't remember where I saw it, somewhere on social media today, there was a call for Jamaicans abroad, Caribbean people abroad who may be undocumented, but have US citizen children, to start making preparations, start making contingencies in the event that you may be separated because your child is a citizen, but you are not. So you have to start figuring out what is your family going to do in that situation. A very, very controversial topic, of course. Let's see what else we have here. Object says, how might Donald Trump's pro-digital asset stance, if implemented, impact Jamaica's economy and financial system? So we're talking about that just now, cryptocurrency. I think that in Jamaica, authorities are more likely to take something like cryptocurrency and digital assets more seriously. Yes, we did try Jamdex. So far, it hasn't worked. It hasn't really taken root in the system, but there are other. So that's a central bank digital currency as opposed to a cryptocurrency. Our authorities here have not been very keen on cryptocurrency. For example, I was answering the question just now from somebody who was asking if you can invest in crypto from Jamaica. And I was making the point that you may have an issue getting your cash out, being able to get that money back to Jamaica. And the reason for that is that a lot of financial institutions raise red flags when they see these types of transactions. Now, with cryptocurrency becoming legitimized under a Trump administration, I think countries like Jamaica may follow suit, and it may become easier to trade assets like cryptocurrency and other digital assets in Jamaica, between Jamaica and other countries through the blockchain and, all that fancy stuff. And Ezra says, those tariffs will not come into place if Mexico and Canada fix the illegal immigrants issue Trump has with them, I believe. What did Canada do to the US? I don't think they have an immigration issue with Canada. What did Canada do? Like, why is Canada getting shots? I don't understand. But you're right, because I was wondering, where do these tariffs come from? Is there anything that can be done to prevent it? Well, if they fix the immigration issue, maybe you're right. But how Canada drop in? Like, what's Trump's beef with Canada? I saw him tweet a photo a few days ago with a map of the United States and Canada as one country. What was the caption? I think the caption said, "Oh, Canada." Basically implying that the US wants to maybe annex Canada and make it a part of the United States. So what a thing. Greenland, Panama Canal, no, Canada, everybody just getting shots left, right, and center. Oren says, I believe Trump's presidency will see some crypto skyrocketing. Market cap is already heading towards $4 trillion US dollars. Imagine that. And Roswell was saying, bubble in crypto, in my opinion. Marvin says Jamdex was a digital currency and not a cryptocurrency. Yeah, exactly. So it was a central bank, I call it CBDC, central bank digital currency. Yeah. Who else we have? Oren says crypto is not for the weak at heart, extremely volatile. That is absolutely true. That is for people who are less risk averse, more risk tolerant. If your heart's strong, you can manage the fluctuations in cryptocurrency. So that is our show for this evening. Quite a discussion. I enjoyed talking to you yet another week. I appreciate your presence. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to our hardworking production team led by the lady Sashel Williams. We also had Izzy Ramsey in the studio tonight behind the camera. Alexa Roberts, our video editor, and the entire Money Media team. Thanks to you guys for watching. And remember, you can like the show, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend. But how you can really support us is over on Patreon at patreon.com/Kalila Ray. Become a money general and help to financially support the show. Keep us free for everyone for another year and years to come. Thank you guys also for 70,000 subscribers. We passed that milestone last week and much appreciated. So Trump wants Canada. Sherwayne says the Trump wants Canada, but not Mexico. Wrong comment. Yeah. Much appreciated to have you here with us yet another week. Tomorrow, I will be at the Jamaica Stock Exchange's conference at the Pegasus Hotel. So if many of you happen to be there, stop by and say hi. I'd love to meet you. Until next time, I'm Kalila Reynolds. And remember, investing, how you go? Let's make it cool to talk about money. See you next week.